How healthy is it to have rivalry?
It's very healthy. Not that I like it, but it's very healthy. For the game, it's very healthy. Of course it is, yeah. And probably we should have more. You know, Henry de Bromhead is having a very good season, and there are other trainers. You know, we need probably more. But I think rivalry is good in any sport, because I don't think there's any. You know, when one team wins everything, it's not good.
I think Irish racing is great. You know, because we see each other every day we go racing. It's not like, I suppose, England, so many different tracks and people go different places. You know, I'd probably see William once 2 or 3 days a week during the winter. We could talk away. If we're in the right company, the right place, we could have a drink together. Like, for me, Willie's a gentleman. He sets the standard. You probably look up to a man like Willie. You know, he what he's done for racing, where he's brought the game, is amazing. And, you know, to be in the same sentence and chasing them is great, you know.
Gordon, what's been the greatest day in your racing career?
I suppose I'd have to say winning the Gold Cup with Don Cossack. You know, he was a great horse. He's probably the first real big name horse I got. Going to Cheltenham that year, there's so much hype about him, a lot of pressure. It's probably the most pressure I ever felt in a day, really, since I started training. And when he jumped the last that day in front, like, it was just like a massive relief. That was, I'd say, the biggest day I've had.
I think probably keeping Kiviga sound and bringing her back to Cheltenham every year. It's hard to get away from that.
What advice do you give to a young aspiring trainer?
Be prepared to work hard. Be prepared for lots of disappointment. And, you know, there's no better example, I think, than Gordon in the present time, who started really down at the bottom and worked, stuck at it, you know, because I know times were tough with him. And, you know, so he's a huge example to anyone that's starting off now. It can be done.
The one thing is you just have to work hard and keep your head down, and I suppose don't be afraid to travel to get a winner. I see a lot of people want to go to the bigger tracks to have a runner instead of going to the small ones to win. And, you know, I was probably like that when I started as well, but I got a bit of advice the first day.
Which of Gordon's horses would you most like to have in your stable next season?
I imagine the one everyone would like to have would be Sam Crow, you know, so that's a sort of a no-brainer, I think.
He's a good horse, isn't he?
He looks a different class at the moment.
Which of Willie's horses would you like to have in your stable next season?
All of them. And obviously Willie's got an amazing bunch of horses. I suppose Lorena, you'd love to have her. I'd like to have them all, yeah.
Oh, they are great guys. Jamie, you've been at home watching in. They're amazing men, aren't they?
Yeah, it's incredible what they're doing, Robert. I've been lucky enough to work with both men. Started off with Willie all those years back, and more recently been working closely with Gordon. Very similar approaches to it, although they do train differently. Gordon tends to maybe get horses more relaxed at home, whereas Willie's are trained for more speed. But two incredible men and masters of their trade.
Is that the surface that they're working on, exercising
I don't think so. Gordon uses sand and he tries to keep it as deep as he can, and he has a wood chip gallop there then as well that he's able to kind of let him breeze along to do a little bit of sharp work, whereas Willie has a wood chip gallop and he harrows that. It's like a ploughed field. It is that deep.
I mean, Gordon's got a little bit of an incline there, but not much. I mean, we're not talking about...
Both level gallops. Yeah, there's no incline of any great significance at all. So, no, they're just, look at, they bring it to the next level. They probably think a little bit outside the box of what they're doing, and look at, they're incredible men.
Amazing men.
Two amazing men, and we're glad, and they're two lovely fellas as well too. But Willie, like, was talking about Gordon. Gordon's a great example to any fella starting off. I mean, you don't have to be born with a silver spoon in your mouth and loads loads of money. Gordon worked hard, came from small beginnings to where he is today. And anybody who's given out about the high powers, they're whinging, because Gordon made it in a rough old time and is where he is through his own ability, and everybody else, no good blaming other people. Full marks to Gordon. Willie as well too. Willie started with 6 or 7 horses, his father, and where he is today. They're two great people, and we're blessed to have them here in Ireland, and long may they last.
They go head to head in our next race. It's a big one too. It's for mares, and Willie has Apple's Jade. Willie has Benie Dieux, and Gordon has Apple's Jade. And you've got to throw in the English Challenger as well, Midnight Tour. Jamie, they met in Cheltenham. We were all thinking that Apple's Jade would win, but she didn't. It was Benie Dieux who came back from jumping fences and didn't half win.
Yeah, absolutely. I just felt on the day that Apple's Jade was probably a little bit marish on the day. The slow pace, she had to kind of do a lot of the donkey work for herself. She started to lean a little bit right. She wasn't simple, and she's still only beaten a length and a half. I think if she does everything right today, there's a little bit more pace on. I think she'll be good today, and I think she'll be more impressive.
Gordon said she was quiet when she came home. I mean, it just suggests that she wasn't on her game.
She wasn't on her game completely anyway. Now, the other mare's a very good mare as well. I think maybe even turning into a better chaser, Benie Dieux, than she is a hurler. She got her on the day. I like Jamie. I think if Apple's Jade turns up here, the mare we saw last year, the mare we saw with Liverpool, and the mare really on top of her game, I think she'd be very hard to beat.
Guys, there was a suggestion that she might have been in season or close to being in season. Just tell us about how that affects a mare. I mean, it affects some mares much more than others.
Some of them.
Yeah, some of them. You don't really know till you run them, basically, and if they disappoint when they're in season, you just don't run them again when they're like that. And if they're performing okay when they are in season, you can drive on. There's no problem. But it just affects their temperament and the way they want to run as well. So
and this time of the year is the natural time of the year for mares to go and foal from sort of March, April, May. If they're out in the wild, that's the time of the year they'd go and foal. The stallions would mate with them. So it's just hormonal things. Some of them affects them more than others, and some of them it doesn't. And you never know, as Jamie says, some of them, they put them on a thing called Regimate so they can sort of know exactly what's happening. And also, some people would keep an eye when they're coming in season, try and plan their races around when they're out of it and when they're in it. It's all stable management and knowing how much it affects one or the other.
They're both good at it, whatever. Now, we've got a rail race ahead of us, but I must just ask you to remember Ask Ted, hashtag Ask Ted. If you've got a question for Ted, and we will relay it. Now, runners and riders, for the first of our big ones, here's Brian.
Yes, Robert, before Runners and Riders, just a quick chat with Leon Blanche from Bile Sports. The boys in the studio believe and Apple's Jade can bounce back. Even money in the ring, reflected with Bile Sports?
Yes, Brian, she's the best backed horse in the race. The second favourite is easy to back, Benie Dieux at 11-4. Apple's Jade was a bigger price overnight, 7-4. She's now into a shade of odds on, 11-10 on. She won this race last year by 14 lengths. She's an ultra consistent mare. She wasn't at her best at Cheltenham, and she's probably the one that they all have to beat.
The Farcla, the champion 4-year-old hurdle, is it going to be Farcla or Stormy Ireland? What's going to be favourite?
The market suggests it's going to be the bottom horse, the filly, Stormy Ireland, the daughter of Motivator. She's now 9-4 from 3-1. She was very free at Cheltenham. She never really settled. She obviously fell when she was still running a big race. But I have to say I'm going to go with Mr. Adjudicator. I think a flatter track, quicker ground should suit him. He's the best rated on the flat, and I think Mr. Adjudicator might give Paul Townend and Willie Mullins another grade 1.
Fascinating. Obviously, Ruby is at his daughter's Holy Communion this afternoon, but he said in his Irish Examiner column that he'd want to be on Stormy Ireland and not Mr. Adjudicator, which made interesting reading this morning. The Bile Sports Handicap Steeplechase, what's the each-way support?
The best backed horse in it is Augustin. For Willie Mullins and Paul Townend. Again, stayed on the last time at Navan. I think the step up and trip should suit, and he's gone from 6-1 now into 7-2.
We finish with a cavalry charge, the Ballymore Properties Handicap Hurdle. Lots and lots of runners. Again, if you had to pick two horses that have been back this morning, can you give us some kind of an indication?
They haven't really been backed, Brian. It's a wide open contest. It's 6-1 the field. Joseph O'Brien's horse, Early Doors, is slight favourite. John Joe is 7-1 Dreamberry, but one may be at a bit of a price if if everything goes well, is Max Dynamite. I think that horse could run a big race at 14-1.
Horse that almost won a Melbourne Cup. We'll keep you informed from the betting ring, but as Robert mentioned, it's time for runners and riders for the first of our Grade 1s on day 5 of Punchestown. It's a wonderful atmosphere. The sun is shining. The families are here enjoying a wonderful day at the races at this magnificent amphitheatre that is peerless Punchestown. It's the Irish Stallion Farms EBF Annie Powers Mayor's Champion Hurdle. It's a bit of a mouthful, but it's €100,000 named after that great daughter of Sirocco that twice won this race. Bred by the Wexford man Eamon Cleary. Number 1 is Apple's Jade. She's already won 7 Grade 1s and she's only 6 years of age, and you can back her at even money. Jack Kennedy. 2, Asturia is an absentee. 3 is Augusta Kate, the 8th mare for the Master Syndicate. David Mullins rides. Number 4, Barra, Mark Walsh. 5, Benie, Dieux, Paul Townend beat Apple's Jade at Cheltenham, but yet is rated £9 inferior by the official handicapper. 6, Forge Meadow is Robbie Power. 7 for the Any Power is Jer's Girl, Barry Geraghty. 8, Lagos to Vegas is an absentee. 9, Let's Dance, Rachel Blackmore. 10, Midnight Tour. 3rd at the Cheltenham Festival is Davy Russell. And 11 and 12, Brava Laguna and Red Hot Philly Peppers are both absentees, still leaving Tom Lee 8 runners, so each way is a possibility.
Each way is a possibility, and surely when you look at Midnight Tour at 12, 11 to 1, ordinarily you'd say it looks like screaming each way value. However, why is she so weak in the market? What's happened to her price? Because when you equate the form of the equivalent race to the Cheltenham Festival, we've got the 1, 2, 3, 5. Benie Dieux leading home the English horse Midnight Tour. Apple's Jade 3rd, top rated as you mentioned, and 5th that day Jer's Girl. And yet, obviously, the market paying great respect to Benie Dieux. She's 4 from 4 since joining Willie Mullins, having come over from France. Apple's Jade, we know, is a champion. And Midnight Tour, well, she looks a huge price, but why is she so weak in the market? And also, a filly who's done a lot of racing in her early days, a dual Grade 1 winner, and that's Jer's Girl, trained by Gavin Cromwell. Let's talk to him now.
Yes, the very man here beside me, and I must say these mares look absolutely fantastic in the sunshine, and Jer's Girl looks absolutely brilliant, but things just didn't quite work out as you'd have wished at Cheltenham, Gavin.
Yeah, look, she's kind of struggling a little bit at this level, but she's still entitled to be here, and sun on her back now, a little bit better ground. We'll let her take her chance, and hopefully she could be placed.
She looks great in her coat.
She does, yeah, and she's real well in herself, and I think she comes good this time of the year too, in the spring.
And how long did it take after Cheltenham for her to get back right, or did she bounce back quite quickly?
Oh, she came back quite quick, to be fair. Yeah, she had a little bit of a break in the winter. She was struggling, but yeah, she's come good now.
And a word on Spades will translate her.
Yeah, very disappointing in Cork.
What happened, do you think, there?
We're scratching our head after, to be honest. Unless it was the ground, it was either the ground or there was something amiss that we couldn't put our finger on. But he seems very good, and he worked very well in Ferryhouse last week on the grass. And so, please God, he put in a good run.
Well, as Robert Pratt suggested, if you haven't got a ticket, you can't get in. So, very best of luck in this one.
Great, thank you.
Brilliant. Good to see you, Gavin. Thanks.
Now, best of luck to Gavin, and he has Jer's Girl. This is Apple's Jade. She's a terrific mare. She rattled up a sequence until Cheltenham when she was relegated to 3rd place. Had a hard enough race against Super Sunday at Leopardstown in Christmas, and then was rested till Cheltenham and met her match that day. Hugely interesting what happens this afternoon.
3 is Augusta Kate. She's a great mare in her own right. She just happens to be run up against a couple of crackers, the likes of Apple Jade and Benie Dieux, and she was around when a few of the others good mares were there as well. But she's a very good mare and a model of consistency, and should run a big race.
Number 4 is Barra for Gordon Elliott, and Mark Walsh rides. This mare she's been running away consistently there in big handicap hurdles there in Ferryhouse or in Leopardstown and Cheltenham of late, and running quite well. Probably disappointed the last day in Ferryhouse, but
Ted, you know plenty about Benie Dieux.
Yeah, Benie Dieux. Well, I spoke to Ruby and Paul and everybody down there. They think this is a hell of a mare. Before she ever ran, they said we've a mare. She's nearly another Vroom Vroom Mag, and she won at Carlisle, and she's won since. And then she went on and won at Cheltenham. She's a hell of a mare. They think she's even a better mare over fences, and she's a mare to keep on your list wherever you're putting her in. As Benie Dieux.
Forge Meadow is the next we get a look at. Jessie's mare, I think she's very, very good. She was off her game last time out at Fairy House, but it was a real good effort, I thought, when she beat Identity Thief and Lagos to Vegas at Gorham Park before then. She's been threatening to win a big one. This is a real big one, but she's very, very good. And if you forgive her last performance, well, she's going to be in the frame, I think.
Jur's Girl is next. She's been a great money spinner for Gavin Cromwell, a real stable star. Look at she came up, she was only beaten 10 lengths the last day in Cheltenham behind Benie Dieux, so look at she has a chance. She'd have to come back to a bit of form.
Let's Dance, another good mare. She won at Cheltenham last year, number 9, Let's Dance. She's a very good mare when she's on song. She's a little bit chancy jumping. She's fallen a few times. Ruby broke his leg off her here back in November, and she gave Noel Feely a right good fall at the last time when she ran at Cheltenham, or David Mullins behind Penn Hill. She ran well the last day, but behind Cocker Man, and she's bound to be in the money if she does things right. She's a good mare.
We've got to take Midnight Tour pretty seriously, trained by Alan King. She's a 8-year-old, and Davy Russell rides her. He rode her at Cheltenham when she split Benie Dieux and Apple's Jade, and you know, that was a step up on her previous form, but she did it. Here's Andy.
Yeah, Benie Dieux, just after getting her girt done, all mares coming down fairly gently and calmly. Most of them kind of handy-sized, medium-sized mares, but Benie Dieux herself, quite a big, substantial-looking mare, and she's the one who did come down a bit keen with Paul Townend, but I don't think that's unusual. I've seen her do that before. Paul looks as though he's going to settle her in behind the front bunch. It looks as expected, like Apple's Jade, who tends to enjoy front-running, always misses running. She's lined up down the inner. Barry Geraghty there beside her on Jur's Girl. So it looks as if there's going to be plenty of pace on in this. The number 9, Let's Dance, another Cheltenham Festival winner, also lined up handy. So it doesn't look like they're going to leave Apple's Jade get it all her own way. They're lined up to take her on. And Forge Meadow and Robbie Power there in the sheepskin noseband. He's coming out wide. That's another one who's made it on a few occasions. So again, another race that looks like there's going to be a good lot of pace in, but all mares looking happy and behaving very well themselves.
Yes, post time upon us for the Annie Power. The even money is gone. Bookmaker sharpening this along the rails. Was almost certain to start. Odds on 10-9 on favourite. 11-4 Benie Dieux. 11-1 Midnight Tour, and 12-1 Forge Meadow, Jur's Girl, and Let's Dance. Does the exchange tell a same story?
Yeah, it certainly does. The exchange basically is readily willing to forgive Apple's Jade that little bit of a reversal there at Cheltenham in March. She being very heavily supported in the moments leading up to the off. A little bit of a drift out to 3-1 on the machine for Benie Dieux, and a little bit of money each way for Forge Meadow. So broadly speaking, 9-10, 10-11, 5-6 now Apple's Jade. At that price, Tony O'Hare, would you be a layer or a player?
I'd be a player, just about. Coming forward, Forge Meadow in the noseband, number 6. Apple's Jade on the far side as we look at them, alongside the JP McManus colours of Jur's Girl. Benie Dieux is towards the back, behind stable companion Let's Dance. Barra lining up at the back with Midnight Tour and Augusta Kate. All calm as they walk forward for this Annie Power Mares Champion Hurl, Grade 1. And they're on the way. And Apple's Jade is the first to show, but immediately taken on by Forge Meadow, who goes on as they run the turn towards the first. Forge Meadow and Robbie Power leading from Jack Kennedy on Apple's Jade in second. They're followed by Jur's Girl with Let's Dance, and behind these is Benie Dieux. And after these we have Augusta Kate, and then Midnight Tour, and finally Barra. Out over the first, all safely over it, and Forge Meadow has the lead from Apple's Jade in second. Let's Dance next on the outside of Jur's Girl with the white face. Benie Dieux is just behind him. It's a little bit awkward there. Then Augusta Kate and Midnight Tour, and finally Barra as they swing the turn into the straight and come down towards the flight of hurls before the stands. And Forge Meadow in the lead by a length and a half to the favourite Apple's Jade in second in the maroon and white colours. They're followed by the green cap of Let's Dance. On the inside of Let's Dance is Jur's Girl. Then Benie Dieux, the second favourite followed by Augusta Kate and Midnight Tour, and behind Midnight Tour is Barra. Over the flight before the stands, and it's still Forge Meadow, who leads by just over a length to Apple's Jade, then a 4-length break to Jer's Girl and Let's Dance. They're tracked less than 2 lengths away by Benie de Dieux, then a 5-length break to Augusta Kate, who's followed by Midnight Tour, and behind Midnight Tour is Barra as they go to the flight of herds past the stands. Forge Meadow, Apple's Jade a close second. They're followed by Let's Dance and Jer's Girl. Benie de Dieux is in 5th. And they're followed over this by Augusta Kate, and behind Augusta Kate is Midnight Tour, and alongside him is Barra. They're up at the top of the course and heading towards the next flight of hurls with Forge Meadow the leader, Apple's Jade within 3 parts of a length, 3 lengths. Then to Let's Dance, who's in 3rd. Benie de Dieux improves on the outside. Jer's Girl makes a bit of a mistake there. A gap to Augusta Kate as they race downhill and head towards the back straight. Forge Meadow and Apple's Jade together. They're almost 4 lengths clear of Let's Dance and Benie de Dieux, and behind these is Jer's Girl as they come to the next flight of hurls. They're about at halfway. Forge Meadow in the noseband, alongside is Apple's Jade. They're followed by Let's Dance, and then comes Benie de Dieux and Jer's Girl as they round the turn now, taking them into the back straight towards the next flight of hurls, and Apple's Jade on the outside of Forge Meadow. Let's Dance remains a close 3rd. Benie de Dieux the rails in 4, then Jer's Girl. They're followed by Barra and Midnight Tour, and Augusta Kate brings up the rear as they race towards the next flight. The first in the back straight, and Apple's Jade is the leader. Apple's Jade, Jack Kennedy leads from Forge Meadow in 2nd. Let's Dance and Benie de Dieux are together, and they're followed by Midnight Tour as they take this flight now. Apple's Jade will rise just in front, Forge Meadow on the inside. They're followed in 3rd by Let's Dance. Benie de Dieux is next, and behind these is Barra on the outside of Jer's Girl and Midnight Tour, and a gap then to Augusta Kate as they race on now towards this flight, 4 from home. Forge Meadow back on terms with Apple's Jade. Then in about 3 lengths back to Benie de Dieux on the inside of Let's Dance. Midnight Tour behind them with Jer's Girl and Barra, and finally Augusta Kate as they leave the back straight and head towards 3 out in the Annie Power Mares Champion Hurl, Grade 1. Apple's Jade, and on the inside Forge Meadow. Let's Dance is on the right in the pale green cap. Benie de Dieux is tracking Apple's Jade all the way. Jer's Girl just behind them, and then Midnight Tour at the 3rd last. Apple's Jade the leader. Benie de Dieux into 2nd, then Let's Dance, and they're followed by Midnight Tour. As they come down to this now, it is Apple's Jade the leader over from Benie de Dieux and Let's Dance, and behind these is Barra, Midnight Tour. Forge Meadow was dropped away as they run the turn. Apple's Jade leads, but Benie de Dieux is closing the gap. There's a length between them, and they're almost 4 clear of Let's Dance as they run down the straight towards the final flight. Apple's Jade, Benie de Dieux coming there on the near side. Let's Dance is back in 3rd as they come to the last. Apple's Jade being asked to raise her game. She's in front. Benie de Dieux is trying hard to get on terms. Little between them to the final flight. Benie de Dieux on the near side has gone on. Benie de Dieux from Apple's Jade at the last. And Benie de Dieux is over from Apple's Jade. Augusta Kate from a long way back is staying on really well. It's Benie de Dieux the leader. Augusta Kate is flying at the finish as they race up the line. Benie de Dieux is going to win it. Benie de Dieux and Paul Townend win. Augusta Kate from behind for 2nd. Apple's Jade 3rd. Let's Dance 4 clear of Barra. Midnight Tour, Jer's Girl, and looking down the field, Forge Meadow was pulled up. So Benie de Dieux confirms the form she showed at Cheltenham. She's won under Paul Townend.
She is the new queen. Benie de Dieux wins at Cheltenham, wins at Punchestown as well. Jamie, she's very, very good, obviously.
Yeah, looked awesome there, Robert. Really, really very, very impressive. I thought maybe Cheltenham with Apple's Jade, but there's no excuses here. She's been well and truly trounced today, and
she came to a scrap though a long ways out. Apple's Jade herself and Forge Meadow went at it from a long ways out. I think that she ran a good race, but just they were at it. Paul was there to sit in the slipstream and let the 2 boys in front fight it out. Like Forge Meadow has cried enough, and she's gone out of the scene completely, and Apple Jade is left there. This mare beat her well, but like in fairness to old Apple Jade now, she's in a battle a long ways, isn't she?
Yeah, I suppose they've ridden her very, very prominent, and they've really tried to make it a good, strong test. But look at, I suppose the best mare has won anyway. I feel anyway. She got a nice toe into the race, all right. But look at, she's won and won well.
Yeah, she's a great mare. She's a great leopard. She's won 2 or 3 over fences as well. This mare could be anything. This mare could be a Gold Cup mare. She could be anything. They say she stays and everything else, and she'll be getting £7 off of them geldings every time she meets them.
Yeah, very similar to Vroom Vroom Mag.
Yeah,
fantastic. She's a real stamp of a mare, isn't she? Full marks too to David Mullins. He watched it all go on ahead of him and produced Augusta Kate to run through all of them, bar the winner.
Andy is down there talking to Paul, who's had a great week.
Every time I'm down here at the winning post, it's with Paul Town, and Paul, this mare travelled brilliantly the whole way.
She did. Robbie said a good gallop, and Jack took it off him and kept it up, but she came alive for me down over the third last and second last, and you know, she stays well as well, so she's a very good mare. It's a long time since I sat in her over fences, but no, look, she's proven that Cheltenham was no fluke now.
And she looks as if she's got plenty of size and scope. You think she'd go back chasing or stick her?
She's very versatile. Like, she jumped the fence so well. Who knows? But wherever she goes, she'll be a force to be reckoned with.
Well done, Paul.
Benie Dieux is certainly the new queen. The handicapper will have to reassess his markings now. She was £9 inferior before the race, but a comprehensive display retains. That's what, 5 on the bounce for this daughter of Great Pretender at 3-1. Second, Augusta Kate 16-1, and third, number 1, Apples Jade. You're 6-5 on favour. The champion hurdle is next for 4-year-olds as we go to the break via a previous winner and a subsequent champion hurdle winner, Punjabi.
There's Punjabi and Mick Fitzgerald. He comes out clearly best on form. He's the 13-8 favourite. He's going to be very hard to beat.
He's in the closing stages. Punjabi with financial reward coming back at him, but Punjabi is in front under Mick Fitzgerald. Financial reward staying on the inside, but Punjabi has him by about 3 parts of a length. Beat financial reward.
So the favourites home, and Nicky Henderson winning it for the first time since 1999.
This is where you want to have winners of the big festivals, and Nicky's been very lucky here. He's even happier to be coming back here with a real good horse and winning money or big prizes.